How's it going, guys? It's Xbox Jared here. So I want to talk about music today. I've made videos somewhat similar to this before. Music is just one of few things in life that I feel is truly sacred. Spiritual. I consider music to be a spiritual thing. Really, you can consider a lot of things to be spiritual if you do it the right way. We'll get into that. But with music, let's just start out with a quote today, kids. All right. It's not art unless it's something that truly moves the soul. If it doesn't move you, it's not art. And I can tell you there's plenty of crap out there in the world and all different medias, not just music. You guys know what I'm talking about. Perfect example for you, modern art, where it's just like, a toilet and a banana on it. It's a joke. But with real art, it moves you. It's something that you can connect to. And I feel that is somewhat lacking in some areas with different bands, and in general with music. But here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. I know you're probably expecting me to say, well, it's because of those ding dang hip hoppers talking about money and hoes. That's not actually it. Don't get me wrong. I don't love every song that's about hoes and booties and smoking weed every day. But I think you can have a song like that and still be, somewhat spiritual to move you in some way. It's something you connect to. If you're about gangster life or whatever, it's something you can still feel. It's something that's real to you. And it could have a really solid beat. I mean, there's a lot of these kids these days and old heads, I guess as they call them too, that say like, I miss old hip hop where the music was real, and stuff like that. Which is really laughable because I can remember plenty of bands back in the 90s that still had the same lyrics as the ones they complain about. But, like I said, if it's something that you personally connect to, then it's real. There was this young man I was watching, I don't know his name, this young African fellow, not that it matters his skin color, but he was talking about that too. He said, how do you define real? Because you really can't. It depends on who you are and your own life experience. So for someone to say this music isn't real, that's really debatable. So that's definitely something to think about, guys. But a lot of people they follow what other people say and they don't really think of in terms of like what I mentioned. But if you're a free thinker, I think you can pretty much pick up what I'm telling you. But anyways, so with music, like I said, it's an art. It's something that you're supposed to spiritually feel. It's something that is spiritual to me. And that may sound, dumb to you or lame or gay or whatever little word you kids like to use these days. But really, it's the truth. I mean, if it doesn't move you, if it's not something you can connect to, then why even listen to it? It's basically nothing more than just noise with maybe somewhat of a rhythm to it. Without that driving force, of what I'm saying about how it being spiritual and something you can connect to, it's again, it's really not music. It's just noise. So I think what I'm saying, I think that it is just definitely it speaks for itself. A lot of people, they may listen to music for the wrong reasons. Maybe it's just they think it's cool because it's trendy. They're trendy and cool if they listen to certain bands and wear their T-shirts. I think people like that are sad. I think they're just sad losers who are desperate for attention. Um, a lot of stuff is just I don't know. Like, I'm not one of those people who says that stuff on the radio is worse than in the underground. There's people like that out there. I'm actually not one of them. I know plenty of stuff in the underground that sucks balls. I mean, it depends. Like I was saying with other stuff, it really just depends. So, you know, Good music is good music, guys. Listen to good music. Let it move you. You know, let it really let it become a part of you. Really enjoy it. And you know, of course, music with good lyrics too. Music with a meaning. I feel like that's something that you can connect to as well. If it's something lyrically that moves you, uh, that's awesome. You know, not that every song has to be about, you know, I don't know, like some kind of political thing or whatever. Not every song has to be like that. But see, that's the thing, is it can still move you in other ways. For example, I mean, the Beatles, their main message was love. Love is the most powerful thing of all. You know, love is the greatest thing of all. Without love, humans would be nothing. And so even though the message is simple, it's still very real. It's still something you can really connect to. And that's why I believe the Beatles are one of the greatest bands ever. It's because their message was so simple but so inherently real. You know, their music in itself, it was okay, but it was their message that was better. So that's something to think about. And you know, you have people who hate on bands like the Beatles, and it's because they don't have love. You understand? They don't have love in their hearts, and so they cannot connect to it. You know, when I was growing up, back in the late '90s, early 2000s, the emo trend really started picking up, and I remember people using that as an insult. You're emo this, emo that. You know, it's some kind of trigger word. And to me, people who said that were people who don't have love, who have no emotion, who have nothing in their soul, who are just void of anything. These are the kinds of people who use emo like an insult. And look, I'll admit I may have done it one or two times myself, but I see that now. I'm not even the biggest fan of emo music, but I know that it's not all just, you know, cut your wrists, gloom and doom. There's actually a lot of good emo out there that you can discover. You know, it's just, it's funny how people hate on new trends, and you know, when they become old trends, then people like it. It was the same with goth. When goth came out, a lot of people hated it, even people who, you know, you would think would like it. But then when it became an old thing, people thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So that just goes to show you how trendy people really are. People just like, you know, they like their little living in their little bubble. I think that's what it really is. People like living in their little bubble. And when something new comes along, they want nothing to do with it because they're safe in their bubble. You know, they're safe with their monotonous life, for lack of a better word, I guess. You know, uh, they're very habitual. You know, they don't really. A lot of people, you know, it's funny. When I went to school in high school and middle school, most kids only belong to one clique. But every once in a while, you would meet that one strange kid who didn't really even have a label. And not to brag, but I was one of those kids. Nobody could figure me out, and secretly, I like that. I like that people couldn't label me because labels are stupid. You know, I have a video about that, about how trends are dumb and that they're just, you know, they come and go, and there's no substance to a trend. I mean, yeah, there's cool things and trends and stuff like that, but to label yourself, I think, is lame. I think it's just a way of trying to be socially accepted. And, you know, a lot of people on the internet are like that, unfortunately, because of their hashtags and, you know, their obsession with memes. People who are obsessed with memes, I find them very strange. There's a guy named Dolan Dark on here, this YouTuber. I think he's a sad joke. I think what he does as a YouTuber is sad. And I find him to be a very sad, pathetic human being. And I think people who follow people like that are very sad. I just have to say that. Same with that YouTube poop nonsense. I just think it's odd. I think it's something that autistic people like to do, to be quite honest. But, you know, more power to them if that's what they like to do. I don't want to go on a rant about that. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I really tried to make sense out of music here. I hope that at least some of you pick up on this. Even if just one of you does, then that's awesome. But anyways, thanks for watching. I hope the power of music continues to live on in all of our hearts and all of our souls. And I hope good music never goes forgotten. So, later, guys.